Go ahead and open up to the book of Luke, chapter 9, beginning in verse 51. And I just want to give you a backdrop real quick. If you have been watching the videos, or if you're familiar with the Bible, then I'm sure you remember about the lady at the woman at the well. If you're not familiar with it, then let me go ahead and give you a little bit of a backdrop so that you can understand what's going on here. Jesus and his disciples were traveling. They stopped in Samaria. There was a woman at the well. He talked to her. Pretty much told her everything about her. And she believed, okay, because Jesus pretty much told her everything she had done. She ran back into town. A lot of people came out, and a lot of people in Samaria believed in Jesus. Okay, well, here they are. They've been traveling for a while, and they're on their way back. They're on their way to Jerusalem. And so on their way to Jerusalem, they were going to stop in Samaria. And the Jews and the Samaritans don't get along. They got, beef that's been handed down from generation to generation. And so they don't really like each other. And from the looks of it here, due to the fact that the Samaritans and the Jews have their differences, the Samaritans do not welcome Jesus because he's on his way to Jerusalem. Okay? And so everything that Jesus did for them, due to the fact that they got differences with the Jews, they decide to not welcome Jesus in their town. All right. So that's what's going on right here. That's a little bit of a backdrop just so you can understand what's going on. All right. So we're picking up in Luke chapter 9, verse 51. And it says, as the time drew near for him to ascend to heaven. All right. Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem. For a second there, went blank. I didn't go blank. I couldn't pronounce the word. But Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem. He sent messengers ahead to a Samaritan village to prepare for his arrival. But the people of the village did not welcome Jesus because he was on his way to Jerusalem. When James and John saw this, they said to Jesus, Lord, should we call down fire from heaven to burn them up? But Jesus turned and rebuked them. Now, let me stop right there real quick, okay? Because I remember this time around, since October, the word has been hitting completely different for me. I've read this before, and I used to think, like the only thing that stuck out to me was the fact that James and John these dudes were ride or die for Jesus. You know what I mean? Hey, Lord, should we call down fire from heaven to burn them up? I mean, these dudes were, legit. You know what I mean? Like, they weren't going to let them disrespect Jesus like that. They were, like, we'll call down fire from heaven, burn them up. But the next verse just hit different this time. Okay, all of last year we have me and my brothers that we have been reading together. The main focus has been portion. Okay, learning to be content and learning to be faithful with the portion that God has given you, not being ungrateful and not being greedy, always wanting more. Is being a good steward of what God has given you, being content with what he has given you, not always wanting more. And by doing so, you walk out of the will of God, okay? Portion. Being content with what God has given you and not losing sight of who he is because you're too busy chasing other things, because you're not content with your portion. It's being in the presence of God for who he is, not for what he has to offer. It's about him, okay? Portion. And the second thing that we have, that God has had us focused on is self-denial. The whole being of a Christian is wrapped around self-denial. Deny yourself. The life of a Christian is not a life that revolves around you. It's centered in Christ. Everything is about Christ. So we have to deny ourselves, okay? So this time around, this story right here hit differently, okay? So they don't welcome Jesus because he's on his way to Jerusalem. When James and John saw this, they said to Jesus, like, man, these dudes, like these dudes are ungrateful. They're just going to disrespect you like that. Excuse me. Lord, should we call down fire from heaven to burn them up? Like, like, they're not going to disrespect you like that. We're ready to ride for you. But listen to what Jesus says, okay? Because me knowing me, like, I would have probably said the same thing. Like, I'm ready to go. You know what I mean? But listen to what Jesus says. And I need you to understand this. Because a lot of us have this same mentality when we feel disrespected. A lot of us have this same mentality when we feel like somebody's treating us unfairly, when somebody's being ungrateful, when somebody, when we feel like we're not being treated the way that we should be treated, this is how we react. All of a sudden, we want to call fire from heaven and burn everybody up. But listen, okay? Listen to what Jesus says in the manner in which he responds. Okay? Verse 55. But Jesus turned and rebuked them. Okay? He corrected them like sternly. What are you doing? Have you not learned by now? Okay, listen to what Jesus says. But Jesus turned and rebuked them. And he said, you don't realize what your hearts are like. You just don't understand what's in your heart, do you? You don't get it. You just don't understand how jacked up your heart is. Okay? You don't realize what your hearts are like. For the Son of Man has not come to destroy people's lives, but to save them. So they went to another town. Like, how many of us are like that? That we feel like, because they disrespected me or they disrespected one of our friends, one of our loved ones or whatever, and we're ready to go to war. But if we are supposed to be Christians, okay, if we are supposed to be followers of Christ, if we're supposed to be imitators of Christ, please pay attention to the example that Jesus just set right here for us. What it is that he taught us right here is cool. Let it go. I did not come to destroy lives. I came to save them. If they choose to be ungrateful, let them be ungrateful. If they choose to turn their back on you, let them turn their back on you. If they choose to disrespect, let them disrespect. We are to follow the example that Jesus set. Like, do you not see the love, the compassion, the grace that Jesus extends to people? Now, for those who are not born again believers, for those who are not followers of Christ, I get it. I understand it. They don't have an example to follow, or the example that they have to follow is not this one. But if we claim to be Christians and we claim to be followers of Christ, then we have to start acting like it. We have to start getting into our word so that we can understand what it is that the example that Jesus set for us. Jesus said, you don't realize what your hearts are like. For the Son of Man has not come to destroy people's lives, but to save them. We got to do better. Like, this convicted me majorly as I read it here a little while ago. Because I know I'm the type of person that if I feel like somebody's disrespecting one of my loved ones, I'm ready to go to war for them. But that's not the way that we're supposed to move. Now, I understand, you know what I mean? Like, you got to protect yourself. I understand that. You know what I mean? If somebody's trying to, like physically harm my wife, my kids, you know what I mean? Somebody that I love, then yeah, I understand that. You know what I mean? You got to protect yourself. I understand that. But if it's just somebody who, you know what I mean, just said something, you know what I mean? Like, it's just somebody, you got to let it go. We have to learn to move how Christ moved. And I'm learning on that one, okay? Like, it hit me hard today. It hit from a different angle. And that's something that I got to learn, how to deny myself, deny my emotions, deny my feeling to go check somebody because I feel disrespected, or I feel like, man, like, I get it. It feels like we get treated unfairly. But we have to learn to deny ourselves, to pick up our cross and to follow Christ for real. And quit acting like the world. We got to check our hearts. Jesus just said it right there. You just don't realize how messed up your heart is, do you? I didn't come to destroy the world. I came to save him. Let's not keep working against Christ, but let's work with him. We got to do better, guys. Please understand who it is that Christ is. If he didn't come to destroy lives, then we shouldn't either. If he came to save people, then we should be leading them in the right direction and trying to help folks get saved as well. All right? I love you guys. God bless you.